Minister, do you regret the tone that you struck on Monday when you were talking about the sense of people's stress because of the likes of the looting and what was said was lawlessness? There's been some commentary that it wasn't, you struck the wrong tone when people were quite stressed.
Oh no, what I've said is I fully understand people's concern about what's happening on the ground, and I understand that when the power is out and the telecommunications are disconnected, people do experience heightened levels of stress and heightened levels of concern. But what I've also said is that people need to report concerns about crime to the police so that they can be investigated and so that the people who are undertaking any criminal offending can be held to account. I've been speaking to the police every day. We've put extra police into the region to deal with these concerns, and what police have been reporting is that many of the claims that are being made can't be substantiated with fact.
But what the people on the ground are saying is that the cops aren't showing up, so how would the cops know?
Well, crimes need to be reported to the police.
They don't have any Prime Minister.
Well, they do now, and anybody that has evidence of crimes that have been committed need to be reporting them to the police.
When you said that it was unsubstantiated rumours, those people didn't have communications to get through to cops, who basically accused them of lying.
Well, no, not at all. What I'm saying is that police investigated some of the things that were reported to them, and they turned out to not be crimes.
Prime Minister, should the government borrow to fund the recovery from cyclone?
Look, we're going to have a conversation as a country about how we pay for what is likely to be a very substantial price tag.
Is that a cyclone tax?
Sorry. Will that just pass down the burden?
Well, look, that's a conversation that we will have in due course. It's not something that we're going to make immediate decisions on today.
Cyclone tax?
It's not, like I've said, I'm not going to get into that today. It's something that we will have to consider, how we pay for the recovery and the time frame over which we pay for the recovery as well.
Yeah, we're about today to get another 10th rate rise of interest rates today. And New Zealanders are doing incredibly tough with the cost of living crisis. Yes, they've now got the disaster on top of all of this. But actually, I'm just telling you our view, which is very simply, we don't believe that a flood tax is the right way forward. I do think it's appropriate that New Zealand borrows for it, but it's well defined, and we make sure that it's not loose like it was with COVID.
There is a precedent for the Queensland floods. Do you not think that would be one option to maybe help balance the load from now and future generations?
Look, what I want to be really clear about is New Zealand is wrestling with the cost of living crisis. We're about to see, we've seen record levels of rents, we've seen record levels of rate rises, we've seen record levels of food price inflation. Honestly, levying another tax on all New Zealanders at a time when they need money in their pockets to navigate a cost of living crisis is not the right response. I get it, it's not ideal to borrow, but we can do it. It is appropriate we're doing it because it's actually designed for hard productivity enhancing infrastructure. It's a bit like people borrowing to repair their roof on their house, which will last 30 or 50 years, versus borrowing to buy their groceries. Right. And by keeping it really contained, compartmentalised, really focused and defined about what that investment's going to be, that's the way we manage it. Rather than what we saw during COVID, which was an open checkbook, $60 billion, nothing much to show for it.
So what we want to do is make sure that what we're doing is responding to the need on the ground. And it's been made clear to us by those on the ground that the kind of support we put in place right now is what they need. We've got to work through the extent of the issues. The other issue is we're in a very different environment in the labour market at the moment. There is plenty of work to be done. What we did with the original wage subsidy was tie people to their existing job. Right now, that actually isn't the need that's there.
National and Active said...
Is there a chance you won't need to use the wage subsidy in this?
It's very early to say exactly what we will need, but certainly it's not a nationwide event like COVID, but it's a very severe event for the people in those regions. So we're assessing our options.
Both National and ACT say you're gearing up to propose a cyclone/flood tax. What's your response to that?
What I'm doing is what I think is the responsible thing to do. We still don't know the full scale of this event. We've got to work that out. Then we have to work out how we pay for the government's contribution. There are options in that regard. As I said at the committee this morning, that includes reprioritisation, that includes making sure that we use the balance sheet, which is healthy, and it's consideration of other options as well. We'll work our way through that.
Very quickly, could you give us a bit of a sense of what the...
As I say, we're going to assess all of the options that are available.
So it's definitely on the table.
This is the conversation. I'm trying to be really upfront with you. We haven't ruled things out because we're still assessing the full extent of what we're doing.
Thanks for checking out our YouTube channel to stay up to date with all the latest news from the New Zealand Herald. Click the subscribe button below or check out one of the videos here and head over to nzherald.co.nz for more details on these stories and more.